Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this very interesting big little guy right here. This is the Boker Lateralus. First off, I want to thank my buddy Josh over at the Journey Win Junk blog for sending this little guy along. He's a great reviewer. You can read his take on it here, and he sent it to me afterwards, so thank you very much for that, Josh. Next thing, size comparison. For starters here, we'll go with the Spyderco Delica. Here it is against the Ontario Rat number 1, and actually this is a very apt comparison because you can see in terms of blade shape and blade length, they're actually very, very similar here. Here it is, the Ontario Rat number 2, and what the heck, the steel wheel cut jack. What the heck? Sure, why not? The steel wheel Modus. So you can see here that this is kind of right in that same vicinity, and that triad of them, the cut jack, the rat, etc. There's a lot of comparison to be made there. Next thing, this is a Pocketknife, but it's done in collaboration with Stout Knives, Jason Stout. Interesting guy. I've actually reviewed one of his mid-techy sorts of things previously on the channel, but this is the first of his production stuff I've gotten a chance to check out. So there you go. Let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of your Boker Lateralus here. So to start with, I like the name. Look, I don't know if it's a reference to Tool or whatever, but it's excellent. I'm kind of hoping, though, they release one with 2 blades that will be the Bilateralis. Anyways, I digress. Next thing, the blade on this guy is very nice. At least in my estimation, I like this blade. It's a nice blade shape because you get some flat area down here, you get some belly in the front. It's a D2 steel blade, and D2 is absolutely a solid steel. Well, most steels are solid. That's kind of a property. But anyways, it's a good-to-go kind of steel. I got no real objection to D2. It's not the most stainless thing ever, but you know what? It works great. Next thing, this does have a sharpening choil. Oh, my God, does this have a sharpening choil. Yeah, that's choil, all right. And then it does have a nice tall grind. So even though the blade stock is a little bit on the thicker side here, the sharpening choil, I'm sorry, the grind makes it cut acceptably. It's not like, oh my God, super thin behind the edge, but it's definitely an acceptable cutter. Does the trick. And so, to me, I like the blade very much. That's good. Pardon me. Next thing here, the action on this guy is very, very good. It is a bearing flipper, as you saw in the disassembly here, and it just flips absolutely reliably. With 0 wrist action, bam. Out of there. And this is in pretty much any position, any situation. Never had a missed flip on this little guy. Had this dialed in. This is a great flipper. I have no objection to that. And actually with a little bit of an encouragement because this big heavy blade, and especially a big heavy blade with a fair amount of center of gravity out this direction, it does fall shut with just a little bit of encouragement. So the action on this is absolutely, you can't argue with that. Next thing, the logo on this guy. Look, Stout has a great logo. I've always loved that. It's great. So no complaints there. It has a very nice overall design, honestly. I don't know quite why I like this design as much as I do, but I sure do like it. Because you've got some nice elements here. You've got these little kind of parallel lines going to either side. You've got all these little lines over here, and that's cool. You've got the fuller in here, which, okay, drives me a little nuts, I'll say, but at the same time, you know what, it looks pretty damn good. And then even on the back side here, I mean, you've got parallel, there's some symmetry here. It's bilateralis symmetry, I guess, because it's there on both of these sides here. You've got this little bit of, I don't even know what to call that. It's kind of a rounded chamfer, whatever it is, which is good and actually helps if you need to get in here and do a detail cut. And that's a nice little detail there. I mean, overall, and then coupled with the fact that you've got the swedge up here, and this swedge is kind of a compound swedge, where it's got one angle up here, one back here, and it almost has a little bit of a Bowie knife look to it if you kind of give it this look. I don't know what I like so damn much about this design, but I like it so damn much. It's a really nice little design, so that's great. Next thing, the price on this guy is absolutely, I actually think this is a good price. It's $70. Now, look, yeah, it's not like, oh my God, super budget, but the thing is, it is D2 steel, which is absolutely solid. The construction on this guy is actually very good. This is beautifully made, and way better than a lot of the stuff I've seen coming out of Boker. The action in this is great. This is a very, very nice flipping action. I got no objection to that. Look, and plus add in the design by a well-known designer that is really attractive. I have no problem with this price. Yeah, so to me at least, that all is the good here. It's got a very nice price at $70, a nice overall design. It's got a nice logo in the back here. The action on it is very, very good, and it has a very, very nice nice blade. To me, though, what is great about this knife actually are the ergonomics. It doesn't look that way at first, and in fact, the thing is, this is kind of in that same school of ergonomic thought as the Olemic Wayfarer 247. It's kind of the my anaconda don't want none sort of train of thought. It's a little hefty in the back there, but it's really great. I don't know, I like this in the hand. It feels really nice. It fits like a glove. Because you've got this little recessed area and then the bulge in the back here, it's not even, there's nothing that's going to pull this guy out of your hand. And as a bonus, if you've got small fingers, you can choke up and use the finger choil here, or maybe the world's largest sharpening notch. I'm not quite sure which, but you can do that and do fine detailed work. You can also come in here and do this because of these little cutouts here. Look, this is just great in the hand, pretty much no matter how you want to hold it, but I gotta give it serious credit for the ergonomics. It's beautifully designed in that way. Okay, so that's what's great, the ergonomics. On the bad side, first off, this is actually an oddly large blade. Actually, one of the websites I looked at had this listed as 3.25 inches, and that is deeply not the case. I mean, if we measure this guy out here using my fancy digital caliper, we can see we're coming up to, like 3.73 inches. And you've got about 3.25 inches of cutting edge. This I'll believe any day of the week, but no. And so this is actually a surprisingly large knife. It's going to come in over the line for a lot of 3.5-inch carry areas, so keep that one in mind. Fine for a lot of people, and it's not like unwieldy. It's well balanced and everything like that. And that is, by the way, impressive given that it's a steel frame lock. But still, there you go. Next thing, the detent on this guy. Look, it's absolutely great for deployment, but it does... Are you going to prove me wrong? The problem is, to drop this guy free, I need to be... Oh, really? There we go. It doesn't work well when I'm not able to stab into the table here. So, but nonetheless, it does have a little bit of a drop free. This is a nitpick, 100%. As you can see, it's not one of those that's like super easy to do. But, yeah, it's going to make me look like an idiot here, but that's okay. The detent is by and large fine, but if you're in an area where there is like a gravity knife law or something stupid like that, just be wary on that. This big heavy blade's going to make that happen. Speaking of big heavy, this is a little bit on the big heavy side. Now, they've done some skeletization on the inside there. That's great. Makes this guy a lot more reasonable, but you're still coming in at 4.3 ounces for 3.7 ounces of blade. It's not terrible, and like I said, I saw steel frame lock and was thinking, oh God, this is going to be awful, but no. It is a little bit on the heavier side, though, and that's, and frankly, comparing it to the Rat 1, which has full steel liners and everything like that, it's coming a little bit on the lighter side even, but still. There you go. Next thing, it's got the fuller here, or the crud groove. Basically, this little piece here only exists to mix whatever you were cutting yesterday with whatever you're cutting today. Not a big fan of that. Kind of an ugly little issue there, but, that's a matter of taste, I guess, whatever. Next thing, this little guy down here. I don't know if this is meant to be a finger choil. I have relatively small hands, relatively dainty fingers here. Fingers, that's freaking fingers, by the way, for those keeping track at home. But anyways, my fingers here just, they barely, my index finger barely fits inside this. And it's very easy, if I'm not careful, to get up onto sharpened edge here. That's, frankly, a little bit scary. And so I kind of suspect it's the case that for probably a solid 70% of people in the world, this is not going to be big enough to be a finger choil. It's not great, though. Not a big fan of the lack of finger choil here. So I'm just kind of considering this to be maybe the world's biggest sharpening notch or something like that. And I'm sure if you wanted to, you could make this much wider, but it's a thing. Then finally, on the bad side, the grind on this guy isn't super aggressive, especially if you compare it to something like the Rat 1 here. These are a little bit thicker behind the edge. I mean, hopefully you can kind of see that, but the Rat 1 definitely goes much thinner, and so as a result, the Rat 1 slices a little bit better. And it's also a little bit, actually, I think the blade stock is pretty similar. No, it's thicker on the Lateralus. There you go. And so it's just not as slicey as the Rat 1, but it's not terrible either. So, there you go. That's the bad to me, is that the grind isn't amazing. The finger choil, for a lot of people, this doesn't have a finger choil. It barely does for me. It does have the crud groove. It's a bit heavy. The detent is maybe a little bit light, not for use, but for like stupid gravity law tests. And it's a 3.7-inch blade, which is pretty solidly big to me. Ugly front, only one ugly issue here, and that's the fact that this clip is honestly just not very good. It is a super tight clip. I mean, holy crap is this clip tight, but worse still, this clip is situated directly over the external lock bar relief cutout, which means that as you pull this out of your pocket, you will be fighting it every step of the way because the pocket is going to get caught up on these corners here, and it's just like, I'm going to get the, it's like you play tug of war with your freaking knife every time you, and that's not good to me. So the fact that the clip is just super tight, it's frankly at a little bit of a weird angle here, because I guess the angle's okay. I just don't like this freaking clip. It's not super effective. And so, to me at least, that's the uglies, that this clip is way too tight. It's right over this little lock bar relief cutout here, and it just doesn't work so well. So that's the ugly. Final conclusion-wise, you know what? I gotta be honest, I do kind of love this knife. The design on it, even though I've just been tearing it apart here, this has grown on me in a way that I didn't quite expect. I got this out, I was like, wow, this is really weird. This is big, I don't know, there's Fuller on there. Oh, world's smallest, largest finger choy, or whatever. But the thing is, it's really grown on me. The design is really, really nice. The more I look at it, the more I appreciate it. The fact that the lines flow, it is good. It is great in the hand, and that's something you can't tell from the pictures, but it works just beautifully. It has a great blade shape that I absolutely love. I loved it over here, and I love it here too. And it's actually not a bad tool for putting in work either. I mean, it's a knife that will cut, and when you need it to, no freaking problem there. The clip is absolutely pretty awful, 100%, and that choil isn't going to work for most, but I still feel maybe weirdly positive about this guy. The reason I say weirdly, the reason this surprises me, is that, you know, objectively speaking, objective, he says, yeah, like a knife review is objective. But anyways, if we compare this guy to this guy, the Rat 1 and D2 steel here, that gets pretty awkward, because this knife, the Rat is better ground to cut. The Rat is about as ergonomic, although I think the Lateralus wins there. The Rat has a very different action, but it is similarly nice. The Rat is $30 cheaper, and the clip actually works really well. And so just like in terms of on paper, this is a slightly better performing knife with a much better clip for $30 less. Or if you want a flipper, you've got options. Things like the steel wheel cut jack 3.5 inch, or the Modus, or something like that. Again, the Modus is in the same vicinity blade lengthwise, although it doesn't have the choil, so it's be a little bit more legal for you. But nonetheless, these guys are a little bit better on price again, but they've got some other issues, the pocket pecking and that kind of thing. So, you know, whatever. The thing is, though, I don't know. There are better functional tools and value out there. There is the Rat 1 and D2. There are the Moduses, etc. But I would probably pick one of those guys up first. I don't know. I'm torn. Can you hear the tornedness in here? Like, I would probably pick one of these guys before I pick the Lateralus. If it's just like, Nick, you're going on an adventure, grab a knife, you get one of these two, I'm picking the Rat. That's true. But the thing is, this does have style. This has style that the Rat 1 does it. This has a design, just a beauty in the design that the Rat 1 does it. It has a style that the Cut Jack doesn't. And so it is still, even though I can acknowledge that the Rat is frankly just, I think, objectively a little bit better, it is still a really compelling choice. It's still a knife that I kind of like a lot. And even though you pay it a little bit more, getting maybe a little bit less, if you're after something that does the work and you're as in love with this design as I am, then, you know, honestly, this is a really nice knife. It is a great piece by Boker. It's great to see them doing something really excellent like this. And this little Lateralus might just be the tool for you. Anyways, hope this has been interesting to you. Have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.